2013 was a simpler time for most of us. The sports world was buzzing. The Red Sox had just won another World Series, while Mariano Rivera retired. Tiger Woods won 5 tour events, and his golf career looked reborn. LeBron and D-Wade won South Beach another title. This was a great year to be a sports fan, but nothing compared to that NFL season. Football was electric. The offensive output was astounding, being the highest-scoring NFL season in the league's history at the time. Aerial attacks were becoming more prevalent. It truly was a gunslinger's dream. Speaking of gunslingers, how about Peyton Manning this year? He was on an absolute tear, and it was a marvel to watch. The first game of the season, he scored the defending champ Baltimore Ravens with a healthy 462 yards and 7 TD passes. It was an all-time great performance by the Sheriff. He would go on to pick apart every other team he played that season and practically broke every major passing statistic record. He ended the season with 5,477 yards, 55 touchdowns, only 10 picks, averaged an enormous 342 yards per game, a 68 completion percentage, and a passer rating of 115.1. I think it's safe to say this was the greatest season by a quarterback ever, and I presume we won't see a season like this for a while. Now, Manning did have some help on his roster. The emergence of Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker, and Julius Thomas was Peyton's three-headed monster. Throw in a crafty vet like Wes Walker and solid runner in Sean Moreno, and this offense could not be stopped. Until the Super Bowl, where the champion Seattle Seahawks would shut down the powerhouse Denver Broncos in embarrassing fashion, winning with a score of 43-8. This is where the Legion of Boom would show the world that they are the real deal. Cam Chancellor, a wrecking ball for a safety, Bobby Wagner, a field general for a linebacker, and the infamous Richard Sherman, a lockdown, trash-talking big-time corner, along with a plethora of other talented players on the roster. Oh yeah, let's not forget about the home atmosphere at CenturyLink Stadium. You could argue the 12th man was Seattle's greatest weapon that year. They looked like the next dynasty to come. Russell Wilson was emerging as the best dual-threat QB in the league, and beast mode Marshawn Lynch was still trucking his opponents with ferocity. A defining moment for the Hawks was when they went to the Superdome against the Saints, who were 8-0 at home that season with Drew Brees still in his prime, and beat them down badly. Another memorable playoff performance was when the Colts faced off against the Chiefs. Early in the third quarter, the Colts were down 38-10. Then something clicked. Andrew Luck looked like a man on a mission. He threw for 443 yards and 4 touchdowns to secure the victory with a 45-44 win. But the real momentum swing was when sack specialist Robert Mathis strip-sacked Alex Smith to give the Colts the ball in Chiefs territory. This was the second largest comeback in postseason history, and the league was taking notice of Andrew Luck and the gritty Colts. Even though the Chiefs lost a heartbreaker, their season was still a success, if only they knew what was to come. Andy Reid was hired and made an immediate impact, taking a 2-14 team from the previous year into an 11-5 possible contender. Any team with Jamal Charles on it was set. Week 15 of the 2013 season, Jamal Charles caught 8 passes for 195 yards and 5 total TDs. Hopefully, you had him on your fantasy team that year because he was a stud. A lot of rising stars during this season. One most notable was Josh Gordon of the Browns. You may remember he was a beast during his early years in Cleveland. During the 2013 season, he racked up 1,600 yards, 87 catches and 9 tutties, mind you, with 3 different starting quarterbacks. Imagine if he had a legitimate passer throwing to him. He could have been one of the league's best. Unfortunately, he was a one-hit wonder and fell off due to personal problems after this remarkable season. One headline not related to on-field play was the bullying scandal involving Miami Dolphins player Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin. Martin claimed that Incognito would make racist remarks, talk about his mother and sister, use profane and derogatory language, and that it caused him significant emotional distress, enough to actually have Martin leave the team. The league investigated and found that Incognito was the main culprit, with occasional remarks from Mike Pouncey and John Jerry as well, but no repercussions were handed down to them. Richie would get suspended from the team and would never play another down for the Dolphins. Another team that sparked controversy was the Eagles. Moving on from longtime head coach Andy Reid, the Eagles hired Chip Kelly. This sparked debate whether Kelly's offensive genius would translate to the NFL. They would go on to win their division with a 10-6 record, later losing in the wild card round to the Saints. LaShawn McCoy was a huge part of this success. He won the rushing crown with over 1,600 yards and 9 rushing TDs. Nick Foles would take the starting job from Michael Vick and actually produce a pretty good season, throwing for 27 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, with a game where he had 7 passing TDs and the highest passer rating in the league that year. Deshaun Jackson had an elite season as well, with a little over 1,300 receiving yards and 9 scores. It looked like this team was poised to make playoff runs for years to come, but fell short of their expectations. Still, they produced another 10-6 season the following year. The bad man, Aaron Rodgers, slicing and dicing up defenses as usual, and Green Bay was looking to win their 3rd straight NFC North title with no real competition in this division. But during a game with the Bears, Rodgers suffered a broken collarbone where he would miss significant time. It seemed like a lost season, but like I said, the division had no real contenders, and when Rodgers did return, they were hard to beat. They ended up beating the Bears in the final minutes of a division clincher for both teams, where Rodgers marched down the field and threw a TD pass to Randall Cobb to secure the North title. They would then face a solid 49ers team in the wild-card round, a team that has beaten Rodgers in the pack several times during his tenure. Another QB to mention was Cam Newton. Although his stats weren't eye-popping, throwing for a career low in passing yards, he helped the Panthers secure their division with a 12-4 record. Another bright spot on this roster was second-year linebacker Luke Kuechly, who won Defensive Player of the Year. Kuechly was a tackling machine, accumulating 156 total tackles, 93 solo, 63 assisted, and 10 QB hits. Not only was he a beast on the field, he was a very well-liked guy off the field as well. He made a huge impact in a very short amount of time and would like to see him in the Hall of Fame one day. The nostalgia brought from this season will never be forgotten. The amount of offensive output was astounding, along with the dynasties and young talent emerging. The drama and controversy this season brought was also a huge part of why it was so memorable. This could go down as one of the greatest seasons the NFL has ever seen. Thanks for watching.